China Dolls, a novel by Lisa C. Description from Wikipedia. China Dolls is a 2014 novel by Lisa C. It depicts the largely forgotten world of Chinese American nightclubs and performers of the 30s and 40s. This will be an honest review, containing my thoughts on the low points and high points of the novel. Spoilers ahead. The three main characters of China Dolls come from very different lives: a traditional Chinese girl, Helen, a Chinese-American girl out of touch with her roots, Grace, and a Japanese girl pretending to be Chinese, Ruby, who are drawn together first by a love of dance and then a love of each other. As is displayed in this quote, "A woman isn't just one thing. The past is in us, constantly changing us. Heartache and failure shift our perspectives as do joy and triumphs. At any moment, on any given day, we can be friends, competitors, or enemies. We can be generous or stingy, loving or petty, helpful or untrustworthy." The narrative flows organically as the three women each tell the story from their perspectives. Whenever one of the women has found stability in her life, it is like she steps into the background, almost as if off stage metaphorically, while the other woman steps into center stage of the book to tell her part of the story. The narrative flows organically across these shifting perspectives, as all of the three performers have their chance to shine in the story. I enjoyed this book as an audiobook, and I absolutely love the voice that the narrator gave Ruby, whose every word drips with snark. The weakest part of the book, in my opinion, is the central romance of the story between Joe and Grace, which is very problematic. From the very first moment where Joe nearly hit Grace, I was unable to support their romance, especially given her recent escape from her violent father. Joe has no redeeming qualities for the entirety of the story. He is aware that 17-year-old Grace has a crush on him, yet he gives her gifts to lead her on. He dates her roommate behind her back and has sex with Ruby in their apartment. He talks about her behind her back with Ruby and calls her a child. He then dates her immediately after Ruby went on the rebound. He broke up with her without explanation over a letter, and when he wants her back, he shows up with his mother at his side to manipulate her. Worst of all is his violent temper. It doesn't matter that he apologized and promised to never be around her again when he is angry, after he nearly hit her when she was 17. His temper is a ticking time bomb that eventually goes off when he breaks Grace's ribs while trying to hit Ruby after discovering she is Japanese. His reaction immediately after this is disgusting as well, as he doesn't ask Grace if she's okay. He demands that she tell him if she knew Ruby is Japanese. Joe is an incredibly selfish and abusive man, and yet she continually takes him back, possibly due to unresolved internalized feelings over her father. Grace deserves so much better. While Grace is in a terrible romance with Joe, her friend Helen marries Eddie, who is the most interesting character in the book. Eddie is the first gay character I have encountered in a novel by C, and he has a beautiful arc. There were so many moments in the story where I feared he would meet a bad end. His backstory is revealed when Eddie starts dancing in a doubles act with Helen. He shares that he is 37, his father was a doctor, he struggles with his lack of success, and he has a problem with alcohol. There are so many moments where he nearly spirals down, and he also faces violence due to his sexuality. Helen, who has a deep platonic love for him, proposes to him when she is pregnant by a man who refuses to accept her child. While Helen helps Eddie through so much, and her son brings him joy, the true healing for Eddie happens in a moment with his wife Helen's parents. His own father was disappointed by Eddie's career choice, and when Eddie comes home from World War II with PTSD, the most beautiful moment in the book occurs when Helen's parents offer Eddie refuge to recover in the peace of their home. They had already known via rumors that their son-in-law is gay, but Eddie confirms this, as he tells them that he won't hide who he is if he moves into their home. They continue to welcome him into their home, and Helen's mother tells him that he is the 8th son she had always hoped to have, and Helen's father is proud of him and grateful to him for looking after Helen. It is a truly beautiful moment for Eddie, who finally finds the family he deserves through his in-laws who love and accept him completely. I also love the resolution that Grace finds with her mother. The book begins with Grace running from the abuse she's suffering at home. As she leaves, they have this conversation. "You're leaving," she said, rising to her feet. "I knew it was coming." "How?" "I'm your mother. You're the breath of my lungs and the beat of my heart. I know you very well. Near the end of the book, Grace returns home where she finally learns the truth about her mother's past and why her parents settled in a remote small town. She also learns how her family and the entire town have followed her career, and Grace is able to start to heal from her troubled childhood through her hard work and accomplishments. The ending of the book subverted my expectations, though I'm not sure if it did so in a good way. Ruby realizes that everything Helen has told her is a lie. Grace did not betray her. Helen did. Then Helen reveals her secret past, which caused her to be prejudiced against the Japanese, and the entire history of their friendship is recontextualized. For so much of the book, it was obvious that Helen was scheming to drive a wedge between Grace and Ruby. When they finally confront her about the betrayal that sent Ruby to an internment camp where she could have gotten hurt, Helen reveals she was jealous of their friendship. She wanted to be Grace's best friend. Which is no excuse, and the other women do not immediately forgive her. So then she reveals that her son was killed by a Japanese soldier, and for this reason, she hated Ruby the first time she saw her. And her friends comfort her. Then they remain best friends for the next 30 years, reinforcing the book's central theme of forgiveness. This resolution as the friends make up feels rushed and unrealistic. Helen just revealed that she betrayed both her friends, and upon opening up to them about the death of her child years ago, she is immediately forgiven. It could be interpreted that Helen is emotionally manipulating them and using her trauma as an excuse to escape the consequences of her actions. Yet, her friends will no longer be blind to Helen's scheming ways, so perhaps they can avoid conflicts in the future. As unrealistic as this ending is, I find it refreshing in a way. So many novels end with drama, where characters hold grudges that end decades of friendship with bitterness. The fact that these women choose their love for each other, as idealistic as that might be in the situation, is beautiful as Grace and Ruby forgive Helen and continue their friendship. Grace needs them in her life, as she recovers from her trauma and loss, and it's especially meaningful that she has Ruby in her life to help her heal from what she lost in the war between China and Japan.